All right, so today I thought that we would work on the pelvic floor a little bit and the root lock called Mula Bandha. So Mula Bandha root lock is one way that we can contain our energy and also strengthen the pelvic floor. So as we age, as we have children, as women, as we move about through life, our pelvic floor begins to weaken over time. And you've probably heard of Kegel exercises where you're contracting or drawing the muscles of the pelvic floor in. Yeah. And a lot of folks are like, what does that even feel like or mean? Well, we can explore that also in a spiritual way through the practice of Mula Bandha in yoga. So here's a short Mula Bandha pelvic floor practice. We'll go ahead and come onto our backs. Come onto our backs. So you might have a pillow or a bolster here to lie down on. So the bolster, if you have one, will come right to the sacrum and will lie down over it. If you have a blanket, that's useful to place over cold feet. If you have blocks or books, we're going to place those to the outside of our thighs. We'll bring the soles of our feet together and allow our knees to come open and adjust the block to where the block is supporting your outer thigh. And then placing the blanket over it for warmth. Yeah. So I'll give you a moment to get yourself set up here. Remember, instead of a bolster, you could use a pillow. Instead of blocks, you could use books. Whatever you have on hand. So here, we'll just notice how we feel. Also, I also like a blanket over myself in the Supta Baddha Konasana position, because that is a very vulnerable position, especially for women. And so the blanket can feel like a little sense of security, a little sense of safety. We'll take a few moments here just to notice our natural breath, the rise and fall of the navel, and the rise and fall of the chest. And whenever I'm in the supine position or lying down face up, I like to bolster myself so that the heart might be a little bit higher than the hips here, the torso a little higher. And the blocks are nice on the outer thighs so that it's not too much strain or stretch for the groin and the inner thighs. And when we use these props, we can think about support. How readily do we receive support? How readily do we offer support? So I am a 50-year-old woman who's had a couple children, pretty much had children my whole life. I identify as she, her, cisgendered woman. And in my lived experience, it's much easier to offer support than to allow myself to be vulnerable enough to receive support. Is that true for you? Or are you more comfortable receiving support and you're not really sure how to offer support to others? Neither way is right or wrong. Let's just notice that. Our practice of Mula Bandha today, or root lock, really deals with support and security. Our root chakra, Mula root, Dara, Muladhara chakra, root chakra, is an energy center that connects us to stability, security, our place within community, our place within family, ancestry, origin, and support that which we need to survive, all our survival instincts, food, shelter, water, all of the things that align to help us feel supported and secure. Every energy center also has a shadow. The shadow of the root chakra is fear. Here in this time of COVID-19, we have a collective level of fear that has been heightened in the past year. So even if we feel rather secure and rather comfortable in our surroundings, in our personal life, there is still collective fear and anxiety that we're processing. It's tribal consciousness. And so strengthening the pelvic floor is not simply for physical reasons. The physical reasons we definitely want to support. Incontinence. Nobody wants incontinence, right? Also, sexuality. Yeah. Supporting vaginal health as women is something we don't talk about much. Post-menopausal vaginal health. All of these things can be supported through the practice of Mula Bandha. But more so energetically, we strengthen our resolve. We reserve energy so we are receiving support, so that when we lend support, it comes from a very full place, not a place of fear or need, but a place that is strong and stable and grounded. So for the next few moments, as your soles of your feet are together, begin to notice that connection. Feel the parts of your feet that are touching each other. And breathe your natural, effortless breath. And travel upward. Feel the parts of your legs that are supported by the blocks and the contact between the blocks and your legs. And traveling up further to your hips. Feel your hips and the butt on the floor and the support there from the earth. And feel the length of your spine supported by the bolster or pillow. Your shoulder blades supported. Traveling down the arms, feel the parts of the arms that are touching the earth. Feel the back of the heart supported by the pillow, the bolster, and the head. You allow your body to soften, to receive that support, to be held. And then on your next exhale, squeeze the pelvic floor muscles, the muscles of the perineum, and notice how the very low belly starts to engage. Begin to draw your belly in as well. And you can feel the whole belly, especially the low belly, engage. Exhale, release it all. Now notice if you anything like me, I felt a little tension in my shoulders when I did that. So notice how the other parts of the body want to engage even when they don't need to. Yeah. Especially the shoulders, weight of the world and all, they're already always ready to hold. Yeah. So let's try to wiggle our shoulders away from our ears, maybe move our head side to side. Let the neck and shoulders feel relaxed. And then again, on the exhale, squeeze the muscles of the perineum, the pelvic floor muscles. Draw the belly in, especially the low belly. Feel the low belly engage. It can almost feel as if you're going to draw the front of your hip bones toward each other. Relax your shoulders. Take a few breaths here. Your breath will be shallow in your chest or throat as your pelvic floor and belly engage strongly. And release. I notice again that my ribs, my shoulders, we're holding. And so it's not about perfecting anything, this practice of yoga. It's not like I'm doing it wrong because my shoulders engage. It's about noticing. Can I notice when my shoulders tense up? Can I notice what parts of my body want to overhold? Yeah. And then how does that translate in my life? What am I overholding? Maybe the experience of my sons. Am I overholding something that's not even my own lesson to learn? Yeah. So just notice how what reflects on the mat reflects off the mat. So one more time, squeeze and lift the pelvic floor on the exhale. Draw the low belly in. Feel the front of the hip bones move toward each other. Relax the shoulders in the face. With awareness, things can change in subtle and not so subtle ways. And then release. Now, for the next few breaths, we're going to squeeze the pelvic floor and we're slowly bringing the knees toward each other, really slow. The belly continues to draw in here. So you should feel not only the pelvic floor, but also the inner thighs, the inner leg line, and the low belly in particular working. And then when the knees come together, they slowly open again. So we're moving really slowly, trying to get the eccentric contraction as well as the concentric attraction. So when the concentric attraction happens, we're moving our knees toward each other. So we'll continue. And that means the inner thighs, the muscles that do this movement are working, but also our belly is in, our ribs hug in to stabilize. And then as we open the knees, it's an eccentric contraction of those same inner thigh muscles, which means they're getting stronger as they stretch. And of course, the outer thighs help. Yeah. So let's do that 3 more times. Noticing, squeezing the pelvic floor and drawing the belly in. Especially when I get about halfway up, I feel like my ribs are hugging in so much that this is actually a core exercise. The slower we go, the better. That helps the muscles that are smaller and more stabilizing come into the practice, not just the big muscles taking over. When the legs touch the blocks, we begin to bring them toward each other again. Notice what you can engage here. Like you can even engage the muscles around your sitting bones, those small stabilizing glute muscles. Continue to focus on drawing the belly in. Continue to try to let the shoulders have the little time off here. They're so helpful. Such strong workers. And we're breathing the whole time. So we'll do 3 more. Super slow. Drawing the belly in. Notice if you forget something, like is it easy to not squeeze the pelvic floor and let your thighs take over? Is it easy to not draw the belly in and let the thighs take over? We tend to allow our big muscle groups to take over, and the thighs are strong. Yeah. Again, the slower we go, the better. And the next time that the thighs are open and the knees and thighs are supported by the blocks, relax everything. Relax your belly, relax the muscles of the pelvic floor, relax the shoulders, the head. Arms might come out more in a T shape now. And take a few breaths. That's really good. And then we'll slowly heel toe our feet so that they come flat. We'll remove the blocks. We'll walk our feet in pretty close to us. So they're at hip distance. We'll have our heels pretty wide. We're lifting off the bolster just a little bit. So it's just a little bit. We're coming into bridge. And here we're going to squeeze our thighs toward each other, squeeze and lift the pelvic floor. So you should feel strong through the thighs, strong through the glutes, the butt, but also engage that belly and pelvic floor. So since you're supported by the bolster, you're not off the floor much, right? And that's the point. We keep squeezing the thighs toward each other, keep drawing the belly in, feel the low belly engage. One more deep breath in. Bring the butt back down to the floor. Take a few breaths here. Feel everything relax. Your face, your jaw, your shoulders. And then again, feet are at hip distance. Make sure the feet point straight forward. Most of us have to turn our heels out a little bit in order for that to happen. Push into the feet, lift the hips. So not very far. Squeeze your thighs toward each other. Draw your belly in, especially this low belly. Draw it in. Squeeze your butt. Squeeze the pelvic floor. Everything lifts. You might even feel a little shake. Take another deep breath in and bring the butt back down to the floor and let everything relax. So it's less about a back bend in this bridge pose, much more about strengthening the foundation. We can think about what a strong foundation feels like in life. If you've had the privilege to have had a strong foundation in your family, which is a strong advantage in life, you might naturally feel more secure. If you have had trauma in your family of origin, then likely we tend to feel more unsteady, less supported in life. And it just takes practice and space to heal that trauma, to feel secure in our own bodies on our path in this life, let alone intergenerational trauma, systemic oppression, and all of the other things that can be layered on top. One more time, push into the feet, lift your hips, squeeze your thighs toward one another, draw your belly in, squeeze and fortify the pelvic floor, and breathe. Foundation. How solid is the foundation we're working from? And then slowly bring that butt back down. Now we'll walk the feet wide and let the knees come in toward one another. Let the knees come in toward one another. And breathe. So it is my belief, if we are in a white-skinned body. That this time in our history, herstory, we need to fortify our foundation. We need to strengthen our resolve so that we can show up in a good way to change these systems of oppression, to fight the injustices that have plagued this country since the very beginning of colonization. And so fortifying our root is really useful. It's useful physically, it's useful spiritually, and it's useful for social justice, for changing this world. If the root is unstable, all of our best efforts will be formed on shaky ground. And you can't build a temple on quicksand. And we'll come over to one side and take a few breaths. As we come up to a seat, we'll sit on the bolster. And as we sit on the bolster, drawing one heel in toward the groin and then the other, our hips are a little higher than our knees. And bring the back of the neck long and sit up nice and tall, shoulders back and down. Even here, squeeze and lift the pelvic floor and feel as if you're containing energy, that the energy, the support of your physical body in all of your identities is supported by this land, the place that we belong to, the communities that we belong to, the families that we belong to. And that inherent sense of belonging, all racial identities, all sexual orientations, all gender identities, all bodies, shapes, sizes, ages, physical and mental abilities, all cultures, all religions have the birthright to feel an inherent sense of belonging, an inherent sense of worthiness, and fundamental dignity. The more we fortify our root, the more our very presence allows others to feel that same fortification and sense of belonging. And in that very small way, we create a little more peace in the world. World peace will be created by many small acts. In the spirit of peace, we say Shanti, Shalom, Salam, Amani, Maluhia, Irini, Shiakan, Jam, Pache, Paz. In the spirit of our collective liberation and the celebration of many paths to the truth, we say Aho, Ashe, Amin, Amen. Blessed be. Kapu Aloha, in Lakach, Satnam, Namaste, Black Lives Matter.